Hello and welcome back to Explore the Cell. What we are working on right now is focus. We are trying to stay focused. I want to help explain what I'm doing here. So this is Explore the Cell. Now, if you've been on TikTok long enough, sometimes you see people like having games play in the background because our brains are so wired to need some type of feedback loop, or we just need things exploding. So that's not why I made this game, but I ended up making this game and building this thing called attract mode so that it plays in the background. Now, I could play this game, but it's not really as fun when you're on web. Right? Well, when you're on a desktop running a simulator, it's very difficult to play because of you really want both thumbs. So what we've got here is bit memory, 0010. Then we got 00011010. Party games that you can play with your friends. The idea is it'll be like Mario Party, and when you're like, I look at it. So we used to have this thing on Friday at the job that I work at where it's like Funye Friday, and we have to pick a game. Sometimes that game is this one called, I think, Code Talker. Let's see. Sometimes we'll play Jackbox. If you've never heard of Jackbox, it's fun. Like you can play it with your friends. You can get silly. But then there's like one called Code Game, Code Names Game. And it looks like this. Basically, you have a Street Hunter, Hercules Draft, Speedometer. Okay, so this is actually not how it looks. It looks much more like this when I played it. So you would say something like, so two teams, you'd have a operator and you'd have agents. I think one operator or code master, whatever. You have like two different roles, but only one person in one of those roles. You need at least 4 people to play this game. And the thing is, only one, the code masters or the operators, they're the only ones who could see all of this. The other people, they just see blank cards, or they see uncolored cards. But what they want is for the code master to, on their team, to say a hint so that when you, see, this is tough. This is tough. We want to be able to show you, maybe I could do this live. If I just move my head around a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll work actually. So it'll probably cut this better okay, that'll work. So this is code names, right? What we've got here is we've got like Angel, Ski, Captain, Base, Bond, Bass, B, Penny, Boyle, Park, whatever. I don't have to say all these. But the way the game works is 4 players, at least, 2 code masters, and then the other people are kind of just like operators in the game. Or agents. I don't know what the actual terminology is. But the way, like, let's say I'm the blue code master. I might say something like spooky. Spooky, and I would give a number. Technically, for this, I would say, I guess, really 4 of these could be spooky. Maybe even 5. It depends who you're playing with. I would say you could say spooky 1, and if I'm on the blue team, I'm going to think that that's a scarecrow. They don't know what these colors are when you're playing with them. So I would say scarecrow or spooky 1, and they would click scarecrow. But let's say I'm with someone who's clearly afraid of bees. They're allergic to bees. I might say spooky, and someone will be like, well, bees are spooky. If they're not on like that, like next level of thinking, where they're like, not everything's about me, they might not realize that bees aren't that spooky compared to like colloquially what you would say a scarecrow is. Or maybe they watch too much anime. They've seen Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo, spooky. But maybe I say spooky too. And maybe they're super religious and they recognize that angels are terrifying. Since this one is not colored, there's no penalty for clicking it. Now, if we're blue team and you say Tokyos are spooky in this instance, and they click Tokyo and activate Tokyo, the other team gets a point. You want to turn over all the blue ones, and if you ever turn over the black one, your team loses the whole thing. So that's code names. What I wanted to do with what it is, let's see. we're just turning what we're doing. Okay, we got to stay focused. It's hard for me to stay focused with some of this stuff because of how locked in I am to, um, like this, the notion of what you'll read here when we get there. So, or it might be, yeah, that one. So, okay, code names. We have hot potato games, and I think I made like a version of what is it? Hot potato in the word chain. Okay, it might not be spud codes. Yeah. So let's say create. We'll play solo. We have the game here, right? Give your clue. So I'm the master of this. That's kind of whack. It also doesn't say who I am. I think I'm red, probably red. So I would say something like hard, and I would say 1 because diamonds are hard. Or if I said hardest, it would probably be good. Hardest 1. Send clue. They think eggs are hard. All right, the bots on this stink. But if you're playing with friends, it actually they would be like, oh, hardest is probably diamond. Or if I said like shiny, I might have been able to say shiny for 2, or even shiny for 3, because I would say gold, diamond, and ice are all shiny. But zombies aren't shiny. Tigers aren't. Stars are shiny. So that's actually probably dangerous. So that's how that game works. But what I'm trying to do for Explore the Cell, which is what this whole thing's about, is make games that you can play with your friends in that manner. Hot potato games in general is supposed to be more of like a addictinggames.com type of thing. But like right now it's all very AI generated. Like I want like the core games down. Like you're going to have a trivia like game or Jeopardy like game. You're going to have a Wheel of Fortune like game. You're going to have a Family Feud type game. You're going to have a Spud Pyramid, a Potato Trivia. Like those are all pretty standard games with like some lockstep systems that are not too difficult to. Just going to move myself over here. They're not too difficult to build, right? Because with trivia, it's like, all right, it's your turn. Which one do you want to click? Click it. All right, did you get the answer right? Yes. All right, that team gets points. Next phase, you go to the other person. Now, with something like Sad Tori, the game is so much more, I would say, complicated because it's much more custom. I made this game. This is unique to me. This is something that I did. So we have, we're going to do Earth versus Earth. We're going to do 6x3. So I have Potatot, who can summon potatoes that he can then fling at the ops. And you do that by doing an Omega Boop. Omega Boop, he just threw it at Potator. Now he doesn't have one. He can use Delta Potato to summon a couple, but I forget if my ricochet effects are in right here. So instead, we're just going to boop that one. And now you might be like, oh, so Potatite can do a beta boop, and oh no, it's not all the way there. But what we can do instead is summon these. And as long as this doesn't ricochet, I think this one will cause a ricochet. So if I do a beta boop here, it does, oh, did it ricochet? It did ricochet for 10 damage. So then we can start to do the rest of them. Beta boop that dude. The opponents in this game, I didn't really make good AI for this system, but so we got one down. Now you can imagine if you're playing with your friend that this might be a little bit more fun. This game is kind of like closer to my heart, but because it's not real time, I am comfortable putting it out there, and I'm not going to be too mad if people just like absolutely on it, because it's like it's so incomplete still, because there's like I have these visions for I don't want to copy Pokemon. I mean, I've got Earth, Fire, Air, Water. It's kind of like Pokemon in my head when like with these like type effects. But part of me thinks that I could just make a very simple version with just the Earth type characters, and it's one hit kill for everything. There's no health. I think that would be a much simpler scope if I wanted to get like a decent game out there, but it wouldn't be the game that I have in my head. So with like fire, the idea is you have like bursting characters. If we do fire versus fire, Salasin can do the mega burst. And then because they're fire type creatures, they are like according to the lore in my universe, they're like in the flame. And by being in the flame, they can move anywhere that the flame resides. So that function, they're able to move. Um, he's probably going to end up dying because, but we moved him forward. Solasini can do a. Does it have a beta burst? It does. No, it has a gamma burst. So we're going to do gamma burst. Does 10 damage. Gamma burst. We're going to just see. It'll probably end up offing himself by the time anyone gets finished. 10, 5. Oh, no, I guess it did win. So that was a strategy to win. All of them can only burst. So I'm not quite sure how, like, the optimal way to play for that. Air is more difficult, I would say, but air, I'm making it so that they can also, like, they can't summon them, but they can send they can summon tornado tatoes, and those will not do damage, but they can either move objects, both move objects, characters, as well as tatoes. That said, Earth, I wanted to give the sturdy component so they can't be moved by air, but the things that they summon can. However, fire and water can both be moved by air, those natos. Body is a character that I want to, like, kind of juxtapose the Earth character, where Earth is like stoic and stays still and then like summons things and really just wants to rock 'em sock 'em right here. Body, on the other hand, does not summon anything, but can do a dash and is more like a rook and is canonically at war. Like, the body is at war with the Earth, whereas you, like, I I just want it to be different. Where, like, in a lot of conventional games, you have um even with Pokemon, you have something like water, fire, and then like grass, right? But in a lot of the more ancient traditions for the elementals, you have earth, fire, water, air, and that kind of explains, like, they have their own tree. I just want mine to be my own. So we also have these guys, lunar and solar. Like, what I want lunar to be is a mix of water and Tato, but also dark, or like nightmare, but not too nightmare, not like the scary part of nightmare, the part of nightmare that like drives one forward. But then solar, who's also part nightmare, but like nightmare and the terrifying part, the terrifying notion of being burned alive. But like neither of these are like bad characters; they're like boss characters. So the idea with, like, so the whole game also, I don't know if you noticed while we were playing it, I don't do a really that great of a job, but there is a sun component. And I'm excited for when we start working on this game again. We're in reflection mode right now. The full moon has already occurred, so now we are proceeding from there. Um, I mean, I don't know if, okay, it does. I can't expand it. The That's what this one is, and then we have Tater Dash. I think my problem is this was in the video. This is a very reflective video. The whole thing was like, I am way too all over the place. All over the place. But that was like, that's like core to my character. I know that if I focus, I have to pick something. I just want to do all of these potato things, but then they all maybe just end up as mid. All right, so what we've got here, if you've watched these videos in the past, you know I ask a question, and then based on my Claude MD file, it says, when I ask a question, do research on the answer to that question, ask the question, and make a section within the HTML page that asks that question, answers that question, and then has a quiz for that after. I asked it a more broad question and said, I think from this question, we can ask a bunch more questions, and then you could do the rest of this. So in a way, it's like that, like loop or prompt engineering. And I haven't seen it yet, so we're going to look at it together. Saturate the window, parallel sessions, shared quota, and the guilt of latent compute. Yeah, that's like where I was coming from. I have this weird notion that with latent compute, it's like it's a solvable problem. With latent compute, you, like, let's say there was some configuration or program you could run that would use the compute on your machine to make money. That's kind of the idea with Bitcoin, solving arbitrarily difficult math problems. But I think there's a way where it, like, actually integrates with the world's ecosystem in such a novel way where it generates money and also provides maybe a service to others. I'm not saying Bitcoin doesn't do that, but I think there's, like, I just have this weird notion that, like, latent compute is one of, like, it's a cosmic irony that we tricked rocks into being able to think for us and do things for us, yet we're not capable of deriving value from that at all times. I know it's a little neurotic, but this is just like something that lives in the back of my head. So what is it called to kick off a bunch of Claude Code sessions in parallel, say before a live demo to maximize token usage against quota? There's no single official name for the pre-demo warm-up move, but the pieces you are describing each have a documented name, and they are different tools. We have parallel sessions with Git work trees, the documented pattern for running multiple simultaneous Claude Code sessions on one repo. Claude Worktree Feature X, or W, gives each session its own working directory and branch, so parallel sessions never fight over files. We're going to move this over here for a sec. We're going to shrink that down in case you want a little bit of brain rot. You know what I'm saying? The brain rot. There you go. Okay. This is documented. Kick off work that run. We got all this stuff. The umbrella term people use for the whole idea. Fan out, multi-agent orchestration, or informally, an agent fleet swarm. The quota half of your question has a catch, though. Your subscription quota is a shared bucket. Every parallel session subagent and background draws from the same 5-hour rolling window and weekly cap. Parallelism does not get you more tokens. It converts wall clock time into throughput. So the pre-demo move is really about having long-running work already finished for or in flight before the camera is on, not about adding extra capacity, extracting extra capacity. The thing is, it's so difficult. It's very difficult to the computer's so fast at doing this stuff. It's like the actual thing is figuring out what needs to get done. Oh, I like this game. Farm Panic. So yeah, one of the interesting issues that I ran into when trying to prompt this one into success was, if you notice these like irrigation drains, they weren't clicking them, which is like essential for getting the potatoes to grow. I think this is actually one of like the more impressive ones. So you get a drought, everything goes down. Click, 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 or the reality is you're supposed to drag. Then they're like clicking all of these as well. That makes it like, this is how you like actually maximize your potential. I'm not sure if some of them are like not worth using, but I just wanted to add them as features. Then you have these potatoes, and of course potatoes don't grow like the way that they're positioning them here. I might have to tell it that those need to get changed into berries, and that those berries are poisonous. I don't know, useless maybe, but. So let's say you kick off 5 parallel Claude Code sessions before a demo to get more out of your quota. What actually happens to your quota? Each session gets its own fresh quota. All 5 draw from one shared bucket. That's the answer. How do Claude Code usage quotas actually work? What is the window and what resets when? 2 layers, both on the same shared bucket as of mid-2026. Verified against May 2026 reporting, since the official support page could not be fetched directly. The 5-hour rolling window. The window starts at your first prompt, not on the clock hour. First prompt at 10 a.m. means that usage ages out at 3 p.m. It is rolling, so capacity frees continuously as old usage falls out the window, out the back of the window. There's no single reset moment to wait for. The weekly cap. A longer horizon ceiling on total compute, sitting above the 5-hour window. You can be fine on the short term and still hit the wall, and still hit the weekly wall. The shared bucket rule. Claude Code sessions, subagents, background agents, and Claude, all in the same pool. We just talked about that. Your first Claude Code prompt was at 10 a.m. and you hit the 5-hour limit at noon. When can you work again? At exactly 3 p.m. Wait, what? It is a rolling window? I didn't know that. Maybe I should have paid attention. What is the difference between a subagent, a worktree session, and a background agent in Claude Code? 3 tiers of parallelism, sorted by how independent the worker is from you. A subagent is a worker inside your conversation, spawned by the session you are talking to. The agent, task, tool, gets its own fresh context window, its own tool permissions, does the work, and returns only a summary to the parent, which is the point. A subagent can grep. What is grep? Is a powerful command line text search utility tool originally developed for Unix operating systems. It stands for Global Regular Expression Print. It's like the standard way that you would search for anything in code. It's very, very easy to work with. Like, watch this. I just needed an excuse to look at my sessions. Continue. We could do, let's see, CT potatoes. Now watch this. I can do ls, and then we could pipe the output of that. Oh, it's very tiny. I want it to be a little bit bigger. So ls, I'll start over. ls, that means list, as far as I know. We're going to list what's in the current directory. Then we're going to pipe that. We're going to grep potatoes, because I know that most of these things say potatoes. So these are all different either files or directories. So to show you that, cd potatoes.systems. I don't know what this one is. npm run dev. I don't even know what this one is. How do I not have something on localhost 3000? Oh, these are all systems that I'm using. These are, I have APIs available. Interesting. Yeah, so one of my problems is I just start a bunch of stuff. I do finish things, but I like doing new things, and I follow the white rabbit. So as we continue, let's compile some, so there's subagents, work tree sessions, which is a sibling conversation of an isolated copy. We have background agents. A background agent is a session running without you. Started with Claude background task, it is a complete Claude code conversation that persists with no terminal attached, locally or on Anthropic's cloud infrastructure. Cloud sessions keep running even if you close the app. You check on the fleet with Claude agents. Rule of thumb: subagent when the main conversation needs the result but not the mess. Work tree session when you want to actively drive two work streams. And background agent when you want to fire and forget and collect later. All three bill against the same shared quota. You want to sweep the whole repo for usages of a deprecated API while your main conversation stays focused on the refactor plan. Sweep the background agent. A subagent searches its own context and returns only the summary when you... okay. I disagree here. I would say I'd want a background agent because I would say sweep the whole... I got big repos. Sweep the whole repo and then fill out a report that I will review later, or email it to me when you're done. Because if I have a main context window and I'm doing something else, don't bother me. All right. Is latent compute a real term? Unused quota gives me the feeling of not fully committing as much as I should. Latent compute is not a standard industry term, but is perfectly readable coinage for a real one. Idle capacity. Yes. And the metric that measures the feeling is utilization, the fraction of available capacity doing useful work. Your instinct is the classic ops instinct. An idle server is money burning, a quota window, aging out, unused, is capacity you paid for evaporating. Cloud providers built entire billing models, spot instances, preemptible, VMs, preemption, around selling exactly that latency. But there's a trap on the other side, and it has a name too. Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. Oh, how about that? That's true. Tokens burned is a proxy for work done. Optimize the proxy directly. Kick off sessions to max out the quota. And you get busy work. Parallel sessions doing things nobody needed, which cost your attention to review afterward. Attention, not tokens, is usually the scarce resource. Yeah, that's the reality. So, all right. Feeling guilty about unused quota, you spin up parallel sessions on invented tasks to max utilization. Which concept names the mistake? Goodhart's law. Words and phrases that surfaced. Okay. I think that was some good lessons. Now here, we've got Cell Mobile right now. See, I wanted it down here. I don't know if I explicitly said that. Is this the one? Potatoes dashboard. I feel it. This is what? Shouldn't this KPI for hot potato games, Cell Mobile be sessions? And what we also want to just do before we close out today is, what did I work on? Sessions. Did it work on any of this stuff? Crude oil. It didn't make these clickable. Maybe this one? No, this is an old one. What? Hey, Bubba, what are you doing? So, what do we got? The last thing that we wanted to do was, I think it's in Visual Studio Code. Oh, here it is. We want a way to track sessions. A session should should count every time a given mini game or even a given party game is played. We need to update our Firebase rules to support this. The collection should be game sessions, and it should be a nested collection because Tater Dash, the games on Hot Potato Games like Sad Tori, as well as this, will all need means by which to add to the session counter. We might need to deploy an API to make this scalable so we aren't constantly pulling, then posting, then updating / setting when more people are playing. But we definitely need a means to track the amount of sessions that have run. All right. So that's running. Dynamic workflows can use it by running many stuff, which counts against you. Stop running a workflow anytime. Okay, yes, run it. Dynamic sessions. Ooh, yeah, that one's going to be thick. All right. So I think we've got what we want for today. Hopefully we can improve this. I like this one, delivery. I think we're making progress. Get a little tired. Oh yeah, and before we leave, I just want to talk a little bit about running. I've been not running very far or long, but I've been doing this thing 60-120. So you jog or run for 60 seconds, then you run for, or then you jog or run for 60 seconds. I'm going to start this over. I've been doing this thing called 60-120. I'll do it for about 2 miles, meaning I jog or walk for, or no, I jog or run for about 60 seconds, and then I walk for about 120 seconds. Now, since I've been doing it for like 2 weeks now, I've started to kind of cheat and say, I'm going to start jogging a little earlier and I'm going to stop jogging a little later. So I'm cutting into my walking time. I'm calling that cheating because I'm still calling it 60-120. Now, I'm really enjoying it, and I found that the most impactful things that it's doing is I'm able to wake up way earlier. I think that we're just meant to be moving as humans more. This isn't unsolicited advice. This is me explaining my experience. If you take this as advice, I think you will be better for it. It is so nice to be able to go to bed exhausted. Like when your mind's racing all the time, you need a way to get that energy out. So 60-120. And I found that when I used to do hill sprints. I used to be in really good shape, but I got shin splints really bad. And then I got an ankle injury and then I got a knee injury. But now I feel like I'm in a position where I don't want to go crazy with these things. I just want to improve gradually over time. And like, I really like how this 60-120 thing is making me feel. Like I loved how sprinting made me feel too. But this one, like, I think it's probably more sustainable. So yeah, 60-120. I've had more energy than I've ever had before, at least in the past few years. And it's free, like I take my dog, we run around. It's a good time. So before we close out today, I just wanted to say that God bless you.